10, 9.
You want answers? I want the truth!
Get ready for two guys who can't handle the truth.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
But we can. Dave Palumbo, Chris Aceto. RxMuscle.com presents Heavy Muscle Radio. Watch out!
Welcome to another episode of Heavy Muscle Radio. I'm Dave Palumbo, and I'm joined, as always, by the technician Chris Aceto on this January 15th, 2018 evening. And Chris, you were absent last week. You had an emergency, and there's not many emergencies that would keep you away from the radio show. But this story actually was worthy of a Jimmy Pilecki story. You might actually want to tell Jimmy the story and have him retell it for you because it might be funnier. But certainly was not funny while you were going through it.
Have him translate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I put up the past 2 weeks in a row the classic Jimmy the Bull rants where he was got cars towed and wheel locks put on his thing and he had to go to pay fines, and it was aggravating. But I think what you went through was even more aggravating. So give us the Reader's Digest version of the story.
The Reader's Digest of the story is I check when I'm in Florida every single night. I can't even sleep at night, and I check the Weather Channel, and I see that it's 15 below 40-year record, 12 below 40-year record, 20 below 40-year record. Well, when you're that cold, pipes in a building freeze, generally.
Right.
I mean, they can.
Just for people who might be tuning in late, you were in Florida on vacation in your condo, and obviously your house and all the condo stuff and all the apartments you rent are in Maine, which was freezing cold. Okay, good.
Yeah. So I come home, and of course we have this big crazy storm, and I'm stuck in the airport for 18 hours. I come home,
which is pretty typical for you every year that you go through.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And I come home. I get in at 3 in the morning. I wake up at 6 in the morning because I got too much on my mind, and I start digging out of the paperwork. And that's my goal, is to work 18 hours straight and dig out of the paperwork, which I do.
Right.
And then the next night rolls around, I get a few hours sleep, and the next day it rolls around, I'm exhausted. We're getting ready to start the TV show or radio show.
No, I just want to stop you for a second in your story. When Chris means dig out of the paperwork, it means I'm assuming it means you're paying bills. And the reason why he has to dig out of the paperwork is because Chris writes checks still. He doesn't bank online.
That's right.
You manually write a check for everything, right?
I probably pay 60 cents a check times 1,000 checks.
And because you don't want to do it online, you like to actually write the check and put it in the envelope.
Yeah, because I like the pain. Trump still writes the checks, he said. He doesn't bank online.
Oh, he doesn't? Okay.
No. But his checking account actually is in Russia, I hear. Clears a Russian bank. So we're getting ready to do our 11 o'clock show, and I get, thank God for this tenant. And this is not a residential building. It's an office building. Mm-hmm. I get a girl. She calls me at 10:40. So we're going to start, me and you, at 11 o'clock at night. And she says, Chris, I had to swing by the building. This is a Sunday night. I can see my breath. I go into instantaneous, complete, utter panic.
Shutdown, Mental shutdown.
Thank you, Renee. Goodbye. Click. Dave, I can't do the show. Click. I called my maintenance guy. I said, meet me out front in 5 minutes. Click. And he meets me out front. He brings this torpedo heater, throws it in my family car, my Toyota Highlander.
Okay.
And we go 100 miles an hour down the main turnpike to get to this building.
How far
Literally
is the building?
100.
This is important.
It's 40 miles.
Right.
But honestly, if you go 100, how fast does that take? It takes you 20 minutes.
Right.
And if any cops chased me, pull me over, that would have been a different story. I would have just outrun them. So I get to the building, and I have a collection of keys, and I get through the door. It's freezing. We take the elevator up to 3rd and 4th floor. There's heat, right? Take it down to the 2nd floor. My teeth are chattering, and you can see breath. So
this is a nice building you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking pipes are going to freeze. I go down to the first floor, and I put the key. I put the key in the door. Dave, I have the wrong keys.
I know you told me the story.
So
this is like a
I go like this,
horrible feeling.
No, I said, that's okay. We only have one heater. I have 3, but I loaned them out 2 to a heating company, literally a plumbing company, because you can't even get these heaters. I have 3 in case of emergency. How ridiculous is that?
Right.
I have 3 of them. They're those torpedo heaters.
Yeah, well, it's great to have them in the emergency.
Yeah, so I have one. So I tell my maintenance guy, you're not going to believe this, but you are going to believe it. I don't have the key to the first floor. So go up to the second, heat that place up as hot as you can get it.
Right.
I'm going back to get the keys. I get in the car. I go as fast as the Toyota
All right, so
Highlander goes.
you left out that information. So you actually had something for the guy to do while you were going and getting the keys.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
All right.
So I drive back as fast as I can. This time like 120. So I make it there in like 12 minutes. and I grab the keys and I actually look at the label. They say floor 1.
Oh my god!
And I drive all the way back, and then we move this heater from the first floor, second floor.
I got to ask you this question. I know you have a tremendous amount of rentals. How many sets of keys do you freaking have, and where do you store them all? First of all,
I have duplicates. My maintenance guy has them, but I have them on this, like, they're marked on this giant board.
Right. God forbid you
panic. God forbid you open up your eyes in emergency and read, because I didn't read.
Yeah, but Chris, God forbid that board ever gets knocked over, all those keys fall off that thing, like one of your kids plays around with it. What would you do?
They're labeled. They're labeled.
Oh, okay. All right.
So I come back, and the short of the story is we stayed there 28 hours. I told you, I kept on calling into you. Like,
yeah, I thought you were kidding. I said, when are you going home already?
I said, I'm still here. And it was like a day and 2 hours later, so midnight the following night, so 28 hours later.
I don't know how you kept awake.
Success. So we did have to call in at the 14 or 16-hour mark or 18-hour mark. The plumbing people, who have my 2 heaters, by the way, so they're only happy to come to me. And we had, luckily, 2 breaks on the first floor, so the water went flying everywhere, and it goes into the basement, and you can drain it, blah 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 blah. And I did. So we were successful in the sense that we didn't have much damage, but I did think of occlusion training, Dave. Actually, occlusion training. I learned it from the heating system. You know, occlusion. Is it occlusion training? Is that right?
Yeah, I make fun of Blackman because they call it asphyxiation training.
Asphyxiation. You know? So we couldn't get the ice to come out of the pipes on the first floor, and we're looking to, quote, bleed it. Mm-hmm. Bleed it is like when you get air in the system and it
push it out, blow it out.
Yeah, push it out. So you can't push it out because there's no bleeder in this wacky system. Apparently, we can never ever find it. And I've had the place 10 years, can still never find the bleeders or the bleeder. So the heating guy comes up with the idea is, we'll asphyxiate. It's out of you, Dave. In the radio, we'll asphyxiate. We'll cut the pressure off by lowering the temperature on floors down to 0 on floors 3 and 4, so that a ton of pressure just builds up.
Doesn't that sound like dangerous? Because what if the pipes freeze?
Well, they 3 and 4 was fine. So it's first and second floor that's just ice cold. So it builds up by dropping the temperature down on 3rd and 4th. It builds up the pressure in the furnace and cause like a big blast in floor 1 and 2, and that
sounds dangerous to me. Very
but
dangerous.
It was just one big 28-hour incredible headache ordeal that seemed like it was never going to end. And of course, the pipe broke on the first floor in 3 places, which caused like the basement to flood and what's underneath it. But if it had happened on like 4th floor, it would have, ruined computers underneath, more than the paperwork, people's paperwork.
That's why I'm not a landlord tenant anymore. I couldn't take the stress of it. It was too much. From people not paying to things breaking to pipes freezing. I don't know how you do it. It's too stressful to me.
Yeah, it was a big relief that it.
When you tell me these stories, even the stories where you have to pay like $5,000 to have snow melted off your roof of your buildings when it snowed.
Yeah.
I'm so happy I don't rent buildings anymore. I don't own any real estate anymore. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be bothered with this. I don't know how Aceto does it, because you have a lot of apartments, and that you rent, and there's always something going wrong somewhere.
We had this week. We had so we have all this snow, and then it's 20 below that night. That night was a record-breaking night, 20 below. And the only reason I lost the heat, by the way, is because a dump truck hit a telephone pole with the power that goes into our building and multiple buildings in the area. So the only reason the furnace went out is because there was a power outage in the area. So the furnace went out, but for some reason although it came back on, it caused some problem on the first and second floor.
Here's my suggestion. As I'm hearing the story.
It gets worse.
Oh, okay. Finish the story, and then I'll give you my my little anecdote.
The part where I want to wring someone's neck is me pre-planning. I have on the first floor, and on the second floor, and on the third floor, and on the fourth floor, a system that I have been paying for 10 years. And that system is supposed to call me on my telephone. It's when the heat goes below 52 degrees on each floor.
The problem, you know what the problem with those systems is? I don't even know what happened. It didn't quite.
It didn't work.
Yeah, you know why? Because there's nothing.
So
you need a system to check that system that's working.
Well, you want to know what that system is, Dave?
What?
That system is me calling the people who installed it, when I was in Florida. Can you perform a test?
Oh, you did ask them that. Wow.
Yeah. Can you? So when they had to say, when they wanted to apologize, and when it came time to say, well, we're sorry, I said it's unacceptable. I'm not accepting your apology. And blah 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 blah. The system that's supposed to, the system is like the system that it failed, like the system that failed this week in supposedly detecting a missile coming from North Korea into Hawaii.
Yeah.
It was a false positive, I guess. You saw that, right, in the news?
Yeah. They said
where Hawaii said a missile is coming.
Well, someone hit the wrong button. They said that kind of scares me, doesn't it? Someone hit the wrong button. It's like mass text message to everyone in Hawaii. Wrong button.
Anyways, we survived it. Oh, and then this week we had 50. It was 54 degrees the other day, and now snow is melting on roofs, and I have a roof leak in a building. I thought it was a roof leak. The drain couldn't handle the amount of water in that there was so much water so fast.
Right.
Well, it was backing up and causing a leak.
Here's my idea. Next time it gets that cold, Chris, up there, in any of the buildings that you suspect or that any pain in the ass tenants complain of bed bugs, turn off the heat. Yep. Kill it. Those bed bugs won't live in negative 20 degrees below zero.
I don't
fucking
know.
Freeze the bed bugs out and all the pain in the asses right out of that freaking apartment building and start over. Clean slate. Right?
I'll you know what? It's
you get rid of the pain in the asses and the bed bugs all in one shot.
Yeah, why not?
There you go. That's my solution for you.
So I survived.
Let's talk bodybuilding a little bit. Obviously, we're in the middle of January now, which is going at I can't even breakneck speeds, as they say. Pretty soon the Arnold will be here. I can't even believe that already.
Yeah, crazy.
Time flies. The older you get, I can't believe I'm going to be 50 next month. That's blowing my mind. Because I keep telling people, I'm almost 50. My wife's like, you're going to be 50 next month. I said, holy shit, you're right. You're right. It's next month. It's already 2018. I forgot. And so I'm like, ugh, how morbidly depressing that is. 50 years old. It sounds old. I don't know. I don't feel 50, to be honest with you. But then again, what the hell does 50 feel like, really? I went and
I was just going to ask you, what's it supposed to feel like?
I went to my dad, and he's always telling me, he wants to kill himself and everything like that. But he's been in a good mood lately. So he's like, how old am I? I said, you're 88. He said, I'll probably live to 98.
Oh yeah, that sounds just like
my wife and I are doing the math now. How much money he's got left? How much are we paying per month there?
Oh yeah, you'll go through that. We're down to zero with my father.
I'm like, I better start making a lot of money these next 10 years. because I got to keep my.
I had to
business
actually lie. It was terrible to my father the other day.
Oh, really?
I went to visit him, and and
I lie all the time.
He asked me, how long have I been here? And I said, 4 weeks. He said, okay. I said, why? He said, someone told me 4 years. I said, not 4 years. He's been there 3 years.
See,
but it's terrible. It's terrible to
I
not
lie
even
to him
know.
all the time. He doesn't even know because he can't remember after 30 seconds. If he says to me, when are you coming back? I'm like, I'll be back in an hour. He's like, all right, because I could tell he wanted me to stay, and I had to take Logan home for a nap. And he's like, all right, fine, and he's fine. So anything he says to me, I agree with. He's like, can you bring me a bottle of wine? They're not allowed to drink in there. I'm like, yeah, of course. What do you want? And then we talk about brands and everything like that. He's like, all right, yeah, that's good. Because I agree with everything, we never argue anymore.
Yeah.
he's so happy that I agree with
some marriages are like that. But go ahead.
He's so happy, my dad, that I agree with everything he says. It doesn't matter how ridiculous the request is.
Yeah, because he forgets.
Well, not only does he forget, he'll forget before I even leave the place. It's not like he won't say, "Oh, remember, get me those cigars or get me that bottle of wine." He won't even remember that. So, Romano said it. Losing your memory is great for everyone but the family. But for you, it's great because you don't have any stress or anything like that. I think that's why my dad probably will live another 10, 15 years because he has no stress now. Zero.
Yeah, he could.
When he does have stress, it only lasts 30 seconds. So, as long as his brain, as long as his memory doesn't get worse, which theoretically it should, but like if he hits if he can hold it right where it is, which is pretty bad right now, but he at least recognizes his family and everything like that, I think he'll be pretty good. That's when he starts getting doesn't recognize. If he doesn't recognize me, then we're in big trouble because
you know what's the irony, Dave? Is I used to ask my father, why do you drink? You know what he used to tell me?
It's because of you kids. I'm stressed out.
No, to forget.
Oh, he got what he wanted, right?
No, like the stress. Yeah.
Now he doesn't even need
It's funny that you bring that up because he used to say that used to be the patent answer. Because I used to say, from a little kid, why do you drink? Because I obviously didn't think it was beneficial. No,
obviously your father was not a good drinker, obviously.
Yeah.
My dad was a fun drinker. He just he wasn't like a he didn't change his personality. If anything, it probably just relaxed him. But there's different people react differently to alcohol. I guess it's like some people react differently to anabolic steroids, right?
Yeah. Yeah, true.
So the big story of the week: Regan Grimes leaving Kuwait. Now I have to give you credit because we brought up the topic just off the cuff, I think it was maybe the beginning of December, and I said to him, I think I brought the subject up to you. I said, do the guys from Oxygen Gym go home for the Christmas holidays? And you said, I think they do. And I said, do you think, if Regan Grimes went home that, maybe he's hanging out with his girlfriend, he might want to go back? And I don't think that was the reason, but from what I understand, he wasn't happy there, and he doesn't want to do bodybuilding anymore. According to my sources, he is moving down to the classic physique division. And he no longer is going to be training out at Oxygen. He doesn't feel he needs to be taking all the drugs and putting on all that size. And matter of fact, you worked with him for a long time. Do you think he could even make the classic physique division cutoff?
What is the cutoff?
You think I know? I don't know. Who the hell knows? What's his height?
He technically probably, if it's 220, is it 225? Can he be 225?
I don't think so. What's his height?
Look, you know what? He's 6'1", dude. He's not 5'9". He's not Jay.
Oh, he is 6'1"?
He's got. You know what the problem is?
Is he over 6 foot?
Yes.
Okay.
The problem is he's got, which he does not know or realize, he has so much natural growing to do. It's kind of like this. It's kind of like when Jay got started and stuff and people thought he was big and, he knew, and I knew, and people who around him very, very close to him knew, just from doing what you're doing, training and eating, you're so young. This is far from how big you're going to be. So he's got a lot of growth in him just from high weights. I'm here to train, and high 6 meals a day. I'm here to eat 6 meals a day, and his weight and his natural growth, meaning his ability to put on muscle, is going to continue. So it's going to make probably 225. I would guess really challenging. And one thing I can say about Regan is, I can say a lot of things about him and a lot of things about, I hate that saying. One thing I can say, his prep, quote, protocol was laughable. And I will bet, but I don't know, but it's just a way of, it's metaphorical for making a statement or allegorical. What he used in the off season was certifiably laughable and close to, if not the least amount of, quote, stuff that anyone in the IFBB open class uses or used last year.
Interesting.
And the reason I say that is because some of the off season was 0, and you can't get lower than 0. And I know people will say, "Oh, fool! Chris is full of whatever."
Right.
There's a lot of natural potential in that kid, and So having said all that, making 225 might be a challenge because he puts on muscle.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think he'll be able to do it. I mean, if it's that high, I think it's higher than that actually. How tall is he? 6 what?
He's 6'1", dude. He's not like.
I think it's I think it's now 230 pounds because they raised the class 5 pounds, right?
Oh, God, I don't know. What I say last time when they upped it, they're already shooting it in the foot.
Yeah, so maybe he will be able to make it then. I thought he would have trouble.
It's funny.
I didn't realize he was 6'1".
Yeah.
That's pretty tall.
Yeah, it's very tall.
And he only weighs, what does he weigh on stage? 230, you said?
No. He's I mean, for contests this year, he was there was he's in damn good shape at 246.
Oh, okay. So he's gonna have to really drop down then. Well,
242,
here's the question:
242.
Would that make his physique worse, Chris, in your estimation?
Well, you never know until you're there.
Well, you tell me. I mean, you see how he looks at 246. I mean, were you happy with that? You thought he was in 100%, the best shape of his life?
What life? He's 23, dude. I mean, what was it compared to the teenage nationals?
was he in the best shape of his career?
Yeah. I mean,
so then that's going to be hard for him to lose, 17 pounds or whatever he has to lose.
Well, the point is, he can't lose it by taking less mint juleps.
Right. So I mean, you're right. He might.
I mean,
it's
not like it's
right.
like some people Did you see?
Well, so what you're saying is that he's on such a small amount of stuff that it's ridiculous for him to even go down to classic physique.
The only thing that's more ridiculous is me peddling that lie. That's what people's going to say. The only he's peddling that.
Well, maybe he'll compete naturally like Lee Banks.
Yeah. Well, I worked with Lee Banks, and that was another one who didn't use much stuff.
Yeah, and I think he's using nothing.
People would laugh. I'm sure he's using nothing. I will guarantee and vouch for Lee Banks.
Yeah, I do too. I think
absolutely guarantee 100% that he does not use anything.
The one thing I want to bring up though, I think, which is important to mention, and I'm saying Regan Grimes aside, Lee Banks aside, most of these classic physique guys are gassed up as much as the pro bodybuilders are. I have to just say, I know a lot of guys that do classic. They're not using. It's not a less drugs, category. It's a different body category is what it really is. Now, will some of these classic guys, because of what they're taking, ruin their physiques and have to go to the open or whatever the case may be? It's possible. But I don't think it's going to cut back the drug use. Maybe the insane amounts of drug use. But for people who compete, in bodybuilding and follow regimens that are, aggressive but not insane, like stuff that you or I would give out or something like that. I don't think that you're going to see a difference in what guys are using gear wise for these classic. I think the men's physique guys take as much as the classic and open guys do. So that I don't think it's curtailing drug use as much as it might just curtail insane drug use. How about that? That's a better way to position.
I would probably agree with you. I think you're right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I think it's naive for us to say, even Louis Marcus said, it's going to save bodybuilding, it's going to save lives. I don't. The classic.
From what?
I don't. Yeah, he thinks it's like because guys
Well, you
won't
got to
use
say
drugs.
from what? From what? From getting on NBC Sports? They're thinking of cutting it from NBC Sports to Wide World of Sports.
You're funny.
I mean, you got to be saved from something.
I know. But
oh
I
my
don't know.
goodness!
I don't think that the sport needs saving, to be honest with you. But
no, that's what I said. From what?
Look, you know what the truth is.
I mean,
the best guys in bodybuilding, I'm talking about the open category, will change. The look of the sport will change consistently, depending on who Mr. Olympia is, what's out there, they can only put the guys in the number one position who are the best out there. If guys are not as good, if it's a low time, remember when Dexter won the Olympia, and I'm not taking anything away from Dexter because he's a great bodybuilder, obviously one of the best of all time. But that was a weak Olympia. Jay was off, and Dexter was on, and he probably wasn't even as good as he was earlier in that year at the Arnold, but he was just the best guy there, and that's all there is to it. Now, on any other year, you'd be like Dexter would never win the Olympia, but that doesn't mean anything because he was the best guy on that day. So he's Mr. Olympia. So some, years you're going to have guys that are world beaters, like when Ronnie was in 2001 and 98, 99. I mean, Dory in 93. It just is what it is. But you're not always going to get the best version of the guy that you want to win the Olympia or the reigning Mr. Olympia for that matter.
So I lost because I lost the point because I got Derek
the point is that you can't say
text me and Guy Cicino text me while I'm doing the radio. Go ahead.
The point is you can't say that the bodybuilding is going in the wrong direction just because you don't happen to like the way that the current guy who won the Olympia was. Next year you could have Big Ramy show up in crazy fucking nutty shape and create a dynasty, and people say, "Oh, the bodybuilding's back; it's rejuvenated." Well, it just depends on who's best guy on that day of the Olympia,
Yeah.
There's no rhyme nor reason. You can't pick. It just is what it is, Sometimes it's great, sometimes it sucks, and judges can only put up there in the number one position who's ever the best up there that day, I remember we used to do these. We would go to these Arnold Classics, and we would be so excited about the lineup, right? We'd be handicapping it for weeks before the show.
Yeah.
Best lineup of all time, just like this year.
On paper,
and then we show up there
it's like a vacation.
and two guys are in shape. Two guys are in shape.
Well, you know what? Some of those shows they're like a vacation. You say, you plan and you say it's going to be the greatest vacation. The weather's terrible. 2 days.
Yep.
Third day it rains. 2 nice days. People say, "How was your vacation?" You have to go to 10 good restaurants and get sick at 2. You never know what you're going to get.
True.
It's the what's it? The box of chocolates effect. You never know what you're gonna get.
Speaking of the box of chocolates, I got a box of what is it called? What is those really high end chocolates? Ghirardelli chocolates.
Oh yeah.
And
who sent those to you?
The people who make our labels, overnight labels, makes my Species Nutrition label. We give them a lot of business. They sent us. It's like the box of chocolates has got to be 4 levels deep. Usually it's 1 level. We get 4 levels deep. And in the box, they give you a, it's almost like, like a who's who of what's in there. Normally you don't know, you have to take a bite of the chocolate. Oh, you're like, oh, this one sucks. You put it back, and you want to find the ones you like, but you don't really know what the hell's inside because they all look the same from the outside. They actually give you it's like a lineup. It's like a baseball lineup. All right, on first base, we got so-and-so, Joe Blow. And on third base, we got... They put the picture of the chocolate, what's in the chocolate, how many calories it's got, what the ingredients is, what the taste is. It's the greatest thing of all time. If you eat I don't eat chocolates, but my mother-in-law is going nuts. And my wife, they love it because they could pick the chocolates they actually like without having to ruin the ones they don't like. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's a brilliant idea. Why no one ever thought of that, I have no idea.
my chocolates at my house around Thanksgiving time when I was a kid, they were all like half chewed into.
Yeah, because you didn't like it. If you didn't like it, you put it back.
Yeah. I hated those jelly ones. They were like jelly, like a jelly mold inside chocolate.
But didn't you know the ones that you hated? Did you notice that when all the good ones ran out, you wind up eating those anyway, and they taste a hell of a lot better when there's no other ones left? You're like, oh, these aren't so bad. It was actually, I thought it was bad, but it actually tastes better than I thought. Yeah, I didn't think that peanuts and mint and chocolate were going to mix well together. But you know what? I'm kind of fucking hungry right now. This freaking tastes pretty damn good. Because when you don't have what you really want, and that's all you got, you're desperate. You beggars can't be choosers, right?
Beggars can't be choosers. That saying is never going out of style.
That's right? My father's favorite expression. One of his.
No, I thought it was death trap when I said
that's one of his expressions, not his favorite.
You couldn't get your son to sleep, by the way. So we had a delay in the radio show. What did I say? I said, did you read to him? You said, yep. I said, did you sing a lullaby? You said, yep. Did you rock him? Yep. Did you read a book? Yep. I said, put him in the car and drive him around the neighborhood, and that will knock him out. And then you can just, put him back into bed.
My wife won't trust me to drive him around alone. So I did the next best thing that I thought would well, at least
Benadryl.
I didn't drug him. It shut him up for it stopped the initial crying, but it made the situation worse. Because what I did was I gave him my phone, because he likes to watch all the videos on my phone of himself predominantly, and I didn't realize it was going to amp him up. Like, my wife's like, "What are you doing, giving him the phone?" Because I'm texting, because the only way it would happen was I gave him the phone.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, he was watching the phone. Couldn't get it away from him. I tried to take the phone away. He was screaming. I'm like, yeah, he'll just fall asleep. He's got to be tired. It's freaking 11 o'clock, right? Nope. Thank God. Thank God the phone died. The battery died. And I heard him bitching and complaining. And I'm like, time to go to sleep. Got him his bottle. He was amped. He was moving around and twisting and turning. I'm like, oh, that's when I texted you. I said I made a mistake. My wife's like, what are you doing? Don't give him the phone. That gets him all hyped up. I'm like, I didn't know what to do. I couldn't get him to shut up. I just took him right from downstairs and upstairs. I figured, let me put him in the crib. We'll put him to sleep quickly, and I'll go do the radio show, Chris.
Well, you go into panic when you
yes.
I mean, you don't know what to do.
I panic. I panic. I know the routine. I got to go and I got to go stretch on the mats with him so he can jump on my stomach, and then we got to pretend we got to build the Lego building a little bit, and then I got to have him run laps. He has this little walker he likes to hold on to, like a shopping cart. He runs up and down the hallway. Like, I make him run 10 laps. He'd probably do more. I have to stop him. But that routine will tire him out. But I figured I don't want to waste another 10, 15 minutes going through the routine because I got to do the radio show. So I put him right in the crib. And he was screaming. I just gave him the phone, figuring, all right, you know what, he'll fall asleep watching videos. Nope. Kept him up.
Yeah.
So
you never know.
Learn my lesson.
Sometimes they go down, sometimes they don't.
Yeah. Yeah, he noticed he got up late today, and not really that late, but we put him down for a very late nap because we were out all day at my dad's and went shopping, and then we got back and he went to a 5 o'clock nap. Big mistake. So you know what happens? I get him to sleep, and I'm like, oh shit, I could do work now.
Yeah.
And I forget. All of a sudden, I look down. It's 2 hours. I'm like, oh, my 2 hour nap, and never.
Yeah, you can get amped up. You get amped up. You have ability to get work done.
So my new thing is I take him over to the snake place, my snake house, and I give him. He's obsessed with spraying Windex, So I give him the Windex.
Yeah, when I was there, he was spraying. That's all he was doing.
Yeah, he doesn't like to wipe as much as he likes to spray, but he'll stay there, and I let him turn the fan. There's we have little fans. He turns the fans on and off, and so I can probably work in the snake room for a good hour and a half before he gets bored of that. As long as he's cleaning. That's his new thing. He likes to clean. My mother-in-law likes to clean, too. She taught him how to do all these cleaning things, so he thinks he's a big shot. And that's it. We should probably talk bodybuilding. Let's get back to bodybuilding, because I want to just say something, getting back to the Regan Grimes thing. Regan went to Kuwait. Obviously, everyone knows you worked with him. He went there, obviously wanted to experience something different. Obviously, they made him a nice, enticing offer, flew him over there, first class, put him up, free this, free that. And, he started to gain a lot of weight. What did he gain, 30 pounds in a month or something like that?
I don't know. They put him in the mirror, and he already gained. The minute he jumped in front of the mirror, he was 30 pounds out.
They got him on the protocol there, and I guess at some point he didn't feel comfortable with all the weight he was gaining. And I I don't even know how I got the message from Louis Marco, Boston lawyer. I don't know what it was, but I got a message where it said basically he was apologizing to, I guess, I don't know if it was Louis Marco or Bader, that he was leaving. He wasn't going to come back. He didn't want to do bodybuilding. He said he had a pre-existing health condition, which I don't know if that's true or not, and he didn't want to.
Oh, they scared him right out of the sport.
I had Sid texted Bader, and Bader confirmed that he did leave. So I wasn't going to make the report unless I had confirmation, obviously, because I had reached out to Regan, and he did not respond to me twice. So I figured he didn't want to talk about it. Maybe he was felt a little weird about the whole thing, and that he left. And look, when you make a commitment to someone, and then you change your mind, it's an uncomfortable situation. And I understand, where he's coming from. He's a young guy. He doesn't want to let anyone down. And, but he had to go with what his conscience told him. And it's like you start dating a girl and then you realize, I'm not really into this girl, but she's so nice and she's loyal and this and that. And it's hard to break up with him, And I think it was like that with Regan. So now that he broke up with Bader, will he go back out with you again, Chris? Will you take him back? That's the question, because a lot of times you don't take guys back. Oh, you will.
Of course. No, listen. Reagan, I should leak the emails like Paul Manafort or Reince Priebus, the leakers. No, who was the biggest leaker? Comey. I think Trump said Comey was the biggest leaker. I'll leak the emails because I think I said on the show, Reagan said, they want me to come to Kuwait, and what do you think? And here's my answer. Go.
Yeah, that's what I told Akeem too. Back then.
I mean, De La Rosa said, what do you think I'm going? I said, go. I mean, you can't. You have to explore your options.
It's like telling your kid, don't go to Disneyland. Of course, go, have fun. If you like it there, you stay. If you don't, you come back. That's all.
Yeah. So and it's frankly, some people it's going to be a good fit for. And some people it's not going to be a good fit for. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Some people are going to love it, and it's going to fit their personality, and some people aren't going to love it, and it's not going to fit their personality. So, and Reagan, to his credit, about what's the one word I've used to describe Reagan with you? See if you have a game show. Ding, 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 ding.
Very intelligent.
Ding. Yeah, that's right. Smart. And so, Reagan makes his own decisions at 23 years old or 24, and he makes good decisions, meaning they're good for him, So, his decision to stay in the great snowy white north, to stay in Canada, is, it's the best decision for him, regardless of what Louis Marco has to say.
You know what? Speaking of, I just mentioned Akeem before. Obviously, Akeem went there last year.
Yeah, because Akeem went there, and I just posted up a picture while I'm doing the radio show of Sergio, who waxed him, even though he was in Kuwait. Because Sergio's was little saying was, his little dig was, I take off my own weights, which was a backhanded dig at something that happens in Kuwait where you don't take off your own weights.
Well, yeah. Oh, they have like people who do that for them.
People load and take the weights off of you.
I noticed that someone sent me a. Hold on, I'm getting interference from my cell phone here. I'm trying to look up something. Let me look it up on the computer. Someone sent me a screenshot of I guess Regan and Sergio got into it online. Did you see that?
No.
Yeah. You didn't see that?
No.
All right, hold on. I got to pull this up now. They got into a real pissing match. I don't know, but you know Sergio. He likes to throw digs at.
I wouldn't. I don't think I'd want to get in a pissing match with two people in bodybuilding. Who are they? Game show time. Ding, 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 ding. Who's the people I don't want to be on Iron Debate with?
It's a good question. I don't know.
Sergio or Dexter?
Oh, right. You always say Dexter. Right? You can't win an argument with Dexter.
No, you can't wait. He could. Dexter's like a lawyer, meaning he knows how to present an argument, knows how to win an argument, knows
Right.
when to fight his battle, knows when to. He's smart.
Yeah, you're right.
And the same goes for Sergio. Sergio's very smart as well.
I'm trying to figure out who sent me that. It's a screenshot. I don't know if it was on. It was basically Regan throwing it, taking a shot at Sergio, and then Sergio basically saying, get the sand out of your vagina or something like that. It was pretty funny. I have to admit, Sergio is pretty funny. He'll argue with anyone.
Oh, he's extremely funny.
He'll argue.
He would just say he's just usually right, probably.
Yeah.
It's good.
Even when he's not right, he's funny.
No.
He doesn't even have to be funny. Who sent me this thing? I'm trying to think of. Ugh, this is so funny. I'm sure it's on Sergio's Instagram or something like that, but it was funny. I guess it's like a love-hate relationship Sergio's got with all the top pro guys.
Well, they trained together for a while though. They trained Cody Montgomery, Sergio,
Right.
and Regan were training together for a while out in Goldson Venice, I believe. Yeah, they were.
You know that this Akeem, I'm texting with Akeem right now because Akeem Williams is doing the Arnold Australia, but he's not doing the Arnold USA. So I asked him why. Do you know that they didn't invite him? Not only did they not invite him, they called him and asked him if he wanted to do it, and he said yes. He filled out the application. He got no response, and then he sees his name on the list for the Arnold Australia, but not the Arnold USA. How weird is that?
So he's doing the Arnold Australia.
Yeah, but not the USA because he didn't get invited. Look, I saw some guys on that list. I'm not going to mention names. I'm not putting anyone down. Akeem Williams is at least better than 50% of the guys on that list right off the bat, before you even see what he looks like.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's one of the biggest guys in the IFBB right now. I mean, how do you not invite that guy to the Arnold Classic? Yeah, he had a bad year last year because of we know who. He went to.
I heard. Well, I heard. I asked. Are you texting him now? Ask him.
Yeah.
Chris has one question for him.
Okay.
Ask him if I can present him with one question.
Yeah, ask the question. I'll ask.
Akeem, is it true you're going down to classic bodybuilding?
He'd have to lose
See what he
150
says, see what he
pounds.
says.
I'm not saying it.
See if he gets the joke.
Yeah. I'm sure he will. Oh my God. What's wrong with people?
Well, that's the class of the Kuwait class of 2017 would be him and Regan.
Right, but why wouldn't they invite? Why wouldn't the Arnold people are pretty smart? You think anyone put the kibosh on that?
I did. You know what? I don't know.
I can't speculate about that, but it seems pretty weird to me.
Isn't it always a little weird who they pick and don't pick? I mean, they usually go with there's always a couple guys to make it international. They throw a bone to someone from
Yeah, but you know what?
Siberia
It goes back to this. They invite 25 bikini girls. I don't know if it's 25, but they're close. And then they'll leave out a guy like Akeem Williams, who actually told them he wants to go and be in the show. I mean, he's in the United States. How expensive is it to fly him from New York to Columbus, Ohio? What is it, $200?
Yeah. No, add one booth.
Yeah. No, I'm saying it's not like a big. It's not like they're flying him halfway across the world. I mean, the Australia people, Tony Doherty's paying a hell of a lot more money to get him over there. Obviously.
Yeah. Well, tell Tony he's going to go broke if he has to pay for Akeem's food. So tell him, give him the plane ticket, but not the food.
No, the funny thing is that when Akeem is dieting, he eats very little food because he can't get in shape otherwise. If he's smart,
I know. Well, that was your prediction from the get-go last year, right?
Yep.
That was your prediction. What did you say? You said.
Oh, I should have known. You know who sent me the text? I should have known. Maybe I shouldn't even say it. Who do you think sent me the text with the Sergio?
Don't make. I probably could guess, but don't even.
All right.
There's enough
So Regan
controversy
says.
involved.
Regan writes at Sergio Oliva, but he did put an LOL. You can do the opening, care about your health, Sean, I guess they're talking about Sean Roden. Sean is proof of that. Take another anastrozole, Sergio. So then Sergio, which is Arimidex. I guess he's implying that he's got too much estrogen going on. So then Sergio,
no, 7 what?
Sergio writes at Regan Bodybuilding, bro, wipe the sand out of your vagina before you ever speak to me again, you fucking bitch, you fucking bikini bitch. I assure you, Sean, I'm assuming he's talking about Roden, doesn't respect your ass. Trust me.
Well, let me text. You want me to text Roden right now? Find out. I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
right
Okay,
now.
we're texting. Hey, Sean, have you seen?
Oh, I'm sure. Sean's probably loving it, you know. Because isn't Sean and Sergio training together out there?
No, because Sean went up to Santa Barbara. So look at it's. You have to be on top. That bromance broke up because you had him and Sergio, but before you had Sergio training with Regan, with training with Cody. That's a pretty good team. That list of 5, and you know.
I got to get
budget on that
Sergio.
is
We got to
zero.
get Sergio on the TV
budget,
show.
Dave. The budget is 0.
For what?
Those 5 I just mentioned: Roden,
Yeah.
Sergio, Cody, Reagan. I said I was kidding and said that bromance broke up. I said, but my budget, unlike other people's budgets, my budget was 0.00.
You know what? I just
You don't
realized.
get it?
Yeah.
You don't get it?
No, I know. You didn't spend any money on these guys.
Yeah. They
You know-
kind of had good, some good results.
You know what? I just realized.
And Louis Marco said told all 5 of them to go to Kuwait.
Well, Louis Marco sent Regan there. He told me that right out in my interview with you. He wanted you to know that. I'm the guy. It's like, you ever see these movies? He's like, and right before they're about to kill someone, you tell so-and-so, I'm the guy who caused this. You know, that it was like a challenge like that. And I don't want to say you got the last laugh, but you kind of got the last laugh, you know.
Yeah.
I actually got a text from Cody Montgomery Friday. I just realized I never responded to him. For once, I don't respond to someone else. I feel bad. I just noticed. It's funny, you mentioned it. I said, holy shit, I think Cody actually texted me before the weekend, and I don't think I ever responded to him. You ever see that? Sometimes you get a text from someone you don't expect, and you're like, oh, I'll respond later because I want to give him a good response, and then you forget to respond completely. Because I get so many texts.
I have to, yeah,
during the day.
of course. That's why you have to text all the way through the show, because you're too busy.
Right. 'Cause
I think you should just text. Let's see. How could you get Logan to sleep via text?
I got to get him involved. If I can get him involved in doing the radio show, if he can sit here and you know, be a participant, then
Well, then you could deduct all those expenses.
that's right.
You not only did you deduct the child whatever your credit.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah.
You can't deduct the dependents anymore, right? Is that the new rule? New tax rule?
Who knows?
Yeah, no, that's a new tax. Someone said, my accountant told me. You can't deduct your dependents anymore. Did you know that?
No, I've been deducting my goldfish for years.
You won't be deducting anything this year.
No, I know.
Sucks. You got 3 kids too. That's a big deduction. Huge deduction. This is the last year. I actually got my daughter in because she was born 9 days before the end of the year.
Oh, that's right. You did.
Yeah. I got the
you get to
deduction.
take the full year deduction, not just the 9 days.
Yeah, I get the full year. 1 full year. That's it. Then it's over. Is that a Trump tax
I don't
law?
know. Maybe I should claim her as well. Give me your social security number. I'll claim her as well. It's a deduction.
You did spend New Year's with her, right? So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me see what I'm looking at my notes here. Here's my notes for the show. Regan leaves Kuwait, kill bed bugs, and glucagon. Oh, I got to mention the glucagon, but we're not ready for that yet. I got to talk about glucagon. I want to just mention your number one friend there who sends in all his questions, Derek, the guy who bought you the headset that you don't wear, and who bought you the book How Not to Die by Michael Greger, but that I've never sent you.
Yeah, well, it's worth. Tell him I'm doing well. I'm still alive.
He's got a couple of questions for you. Chris, do you think ROELLY WINKLAAR can win the Arnold Classic? he was totally robbed at the New York Pro 2016. You guys called it out.
I think ROELLY technically can win that show.
Can he win it given the lineup that we have this year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course, he's got enough muscle to win it. Bottom line.
Okay.
He can win it. He can win lots of shows. Just depends on the absolute lineup and how things fall for that show. Some people have to be a little bit off, and he has to be at his best. But he's got, what? Look, his most muscular is actually better than Ramey's, right?
Yeah, probably.
His side chest and side tricep is better than Ramey's.
Yep.
That is saying a lot, right? Because you're comparing freak. People forget, like, the idea that he has that much muscle. Kuwait's worked wonders for him.
Chris, when do you think they're going to come out with? They got to come out with some kind of a device or some kind of a drug that you can inject into like the muscle if you want to if you want to reduce your waist size, you can kind of just like melt away like some of your oblique or something like that, and get the artificial. Pete, no,
Wait, you talking about his obliques? You talk about?
Yeah, no, because think about it. I had this problem too. They have drugs that you can shoot into your muscles to make them look bigger and rounder, right? Why don't they have a drug that that will actually get rid of muscle? Maybe no one's ever spent the time to invent it because they figured no one would want to use it. But I guess maybe if you inject cortisone in there, you can use. But they got to have like some way it'll just shrink away the muscle. Not the fat.
We talked about that. That was what was the thymicase?
Yeah, that didn't work.
I think it broke down everything.
We need like thiomucase times 1,000. A drug that does the same thing as thymicase, but 1,000 times more potent. And it's not a fat issue. Remember, we got to actually get rid of the muscle.
Why? What made you think of that?
Well, because I'm just thinking. I was just thinking. ROELLY WINKLAAR does have a thick waist, and I'm thinking. In bodybuilding, there's so many site injection, protocols from synthols to nolotil to the old Esicline that people use to try to get a little bit of artificial enhancement. There's Rich Piano went and got that PM whatever it was called into his arms. It was like and people inject silicone, and in South America they inject motor oil into their arms. How come no one's come up with anything to get rid of muscle in a certain area? So that you could sculpt your physique better.
Yeah,
maybe that's the new frontier in performance enhancing drugs, right?
Maybe we pull in. I don't know. Boston might know something.
Yeah, I don't know. We got to work on that. I'm sure there's some kind of like viral vector you can inject or something like that. Do it. I'm sure in the future they'll be able to do it. I'm sure women would love to have it too, because just to reduce the waist size as well. It'll be invented in our lifetime.
Maybe someone.
You'll say we'll be like 100 doing this show. You'll be like, you were right. I remember January 2018 when you a month before you turned 50. Now you're 100, Dave. You predicted it.
Yeah, they'll be rebooting Classic by then too.
For the fourth time, probably.
Yeah, they'll have to call it the real Classic because the Classic guys got too big. They increased the weight class 5 pounds every year for 4 years.
Chris Cormier will be making a comeback also. Same year.
And
2068.
Where is Cormier? Is Cormier in Kuwait?
I don't know.
Let's text him. Let's call him up.
Yeah, we got him. Let me see if Cody responded to me. Man.
I'm serious. Is Cormier living in Kuwait?
No, I think he just goes out there before the big shows, maybe to work with the athletes. I don't think he's there permanently. I think he was just training recently. I saw an interview, on a video with, was it Sergio? I think he trains with Sergio out there.
In where? Oh, in
Venice.
LA.
Yeah, in Venice. Isn't Sergio in Venice?
Yeah.
All right, let me get back to the questions from your buddy Derek here.
Okay, what was the first one? I forgot.
You did the ROELLY WINKLAAR. ROELLY. All right, number 2. Do you think that Marcus Rule's shape from the 2002 Night of Champions
yes
could have been an Olympia winner?
No, because because the Olympia is a glutes and ham show.
And he doesn't have glutes, yeah.
And he never had anything in terms of glutes and hams to any degree.
Which is weird. You would think this guy's so big. Maybe he didn't squat. I don't know. He had tiny little glutes. You remember that?
Yeah, he didn't have much glutes, and he didn't, his no, but his front lat spread for that show was, like in most shows, mind-numbing.
Yeah, he was huge. What are your thoughts, Chris, on the bombshell book that came out on Donald Trump, Fire and Fury? I guess that's the one where they say that he never wanted to be president, right?
Yeah. Well, it's expected. The response is, of course, Donald Trump saying this loser of a guy wrote a completely lie. It's all lies,
Right.
I mean, I'm sure there's lots of truths in there. But there's nothing new in the book. I mean, there's no real bombshells in the book other than that he lies. And I mean, that's part of, say what you want about Donald Trump. He lies. So, and the book generally essentially says that he lies.
A lot of people.
He used to call into radio shows pretending that he was the PR guy for Donald Trump when it was really him.
He has such a distinguished voice. I'm sure everyone knew.
So, I mean, that's kind of like foreshadowing to what we have today. Somebody who, lies. I mean, the book is about him telling lies, essentially. Having said that, I think the writer, I'm familiar with the writer, and he's not, he has his own little issues with embellishing. So, unfortunately, as much as I'd like to use it as a nice segment to throw Donald Trump under the bus to some degree, the writer kind of, I think, has a history of embellishing.
He has an axe to grind with Donald Trump, obviously.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
Last question. The question number 4 was, have you
stock market's way up, by the way, but go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's also the job market is supposed to be really good now too, and But question 4 was, have you finally started How Not to Die by Michael Grieger? And no, he hasn't, because I haven't sent it to him yet. And,
no, he hasn't sent it to me yet.
Because I know he's not going to read it, so I figured I might as well keep it. If so,
but I will say that I do actually, and I've said that before. I remind myself daily of dying so that I can live. I do. And in fact, today, Dave, you know what's so funny? You brought that book up today. This morning, I was cooking breakfast for my family, and when I was cooking it, I was saying, because I had cancer, very aggressive form.
Sure.
And I thought, this is something that I should not be doing, meaning I'm lucky to have the opportunity to do this.
Yeah. Now, when you cook, do you make like Bob Grushkin meals, like chicken breasts and like with the packet of sweet and low on there, or do you actually make like pancakes and waffles? And
I
stuff?
cooked with my four-year-old pancakes and scrambled eggs with cheese. Okay. That's all I cooked today.
Yeah, and
I cooked this massive stack, and I thought, there's tons of pancakes, right?
Yeah, like no one's gonna eat all these, right?
Yeah, they're all gone.
Yeah, of course. Probably the 2 big ones, your 2 big sons probably devoured most of them, I bet you.
That's right, they did.
And I'm sure if you didn't put a couple of pancakes on the little one's plate, he probably would have got nothing, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's right. You're absolutely right.
You probably didn't get any, I'm sure, if I know you.
No, I ate a little bit, but not much.
No, yours. But Chris is on the you're on the you're trying to upregulate your SIRT2 genes. Yeah. Intermittent fasting. People who don't eat a lot, they live longer.
That's true.
SIRT2 genes. So Chris will probably live to 120.
That's the only questions he had?
He said, if you are reading the book, are you going to try a whole food plant-based diet? I am not saying vegan, because vegan isn't inherently healthy today, although it is better for the environment and certainly better for the animals.
It's funny. What is funny is I love protein foods.
Yeah, I know.
I love steak. I love chicken. I love chicken on a charcoal grill. I could eat it 5 meals a day.
You like sushi too?
And the irony is we've been eating less and less meat as a family like the last... we progressively been eating less and less. And at the beginning, it was like, I felt like I was in jail. but now I'm getting used to it. I actually went to by choice, on Friday night, I went to a noodle house, knowing there was no protein in that place.
Oh, really? They don't have meat?
The funny thing is, it was unbelievable, Dave. It was unbelievable. And then we went to a play, and guess what? I had to go to McDonald's on the way home.
Oh, well, so you made up for it then. You caught up, yeah.
I was so hungry. I was starving.
Yeah. Oh, because it doesn't hold you the food. That's why.
No, it was ridiculous. Yeah. Tons of noodles and vegetables and a soup, and it was absolutely delicious and
starved
incredible.
An hour later.
Wow, this is a ton of food. And then it was like, I was full for like 9.5 minutes, and I got to the play, and besides being bored out of my mind, I was starving. I was thinking, I wonder what Roden looks like tonight. I wonder what Cody looks like. I wonder what Sergio looks like. I wonder if Regan's coming home from Kuwait while I'm watching the play.
Yeah. I haven't gone to many. The only plays I really go to are Broadway plays when I was living in New York, and I went maybe to 3 or 4 of them, and I hated it because whenever I did go to these plays, Phantom of the Opera and all these other things, I was like 300 pounds, and if you've ever gone to the theater in New York City, it's like made for like children. The seats are like on top of each other, and my knees were in my chest, and I was getting spasms in my quad muscles. I had to extend my legs, and I wasn't on. So I wound up sitting in the aisle. They have like these steps. It's like these theaters are like 100 years old. So
why can't they give you for an airline, like first class seats?
They wouldn't give me the aisle. This woman wouldn't switch with me. She's like, I need the aisle. I have to get up and go to the bathroom. I said, fine. I'm going to sit right next to you, right on the floor. I don't care. And I did. And I embarrassed. I don't even remember who I was with. I embarrassed whoever I was with, and they were pissed at me. And I was like, look, I can't sit uncomfortably. It's a long play. So.
You didn't fall asleep from eating all that food at 300 pounds.
No. I was awake. I was so uncomfortable. I don't know what it was good. I don't enjoy those musicals. I enjoy regular Broadway, like where they talk.
You like movies.
I don't like when they sing. I don't like when they sing the lines. I don't
mind
the
lyrics. What?
That's the new thing. That's the new way they do it now.
Well, maybe we can do a radio show one day.
You
can do a TV show where you just sing it all. You can interview Dexter and sing the whole.
How come they have to sing everything? Can't they just have the music, the musical numbers in the play, and then the rest of the lines they speak like a regular play,
Because singing seems like more sophisticated or something.
I think it's a pain in the ass, to be honest with you. It's annoying to me.
Well, yeah.
What do I?
Did your father like that?
No, when I went home and I told him, I said, he goes, how'd you like Phantom of the Opera? And this is when my dad was still current. I said, I didn't like it. He goes, I heard it was bad too. I said, Dad, they sing everything. He goes, Dad, it's these new musicals. He goes, they ruin the theater, because my father's a writer and he likes to write plays. It's like they're ruining the theater with this modern trash. He goes, they have to sing everything. I said, I was going out of my mind. So, yeah, but I've gone and seen plays. I went and saw Tattoo Timmy in a play once, in off Broadway. It was. He played some kind of lunatic.
You know what? Oh, when I went to New York in November, I finally got. You know what off Broadway means, right?
It's off. No? It's off the street.
It's got because there's a lot of places that are quote off the street. It depends on the number of people that the auditorium holds.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay. Look, I'll tell you one thing. There's nothing cooler than going to a play in Manhattan. It's like you feel like I don't know. You just feel like you're in the whole New York theme of things. It's kind of cool in a way. But it's not meant for someone who's like 300 pounds who's got to eat every 20 minutes. It didn't work. When I went later, in the last couple of years, I might have saw 1 or 2 plays. It wasn't as uncomfortable as it was when I was a bodybuilder, but it's still you got to pick the plays that you can relate to. Sometimes these overblown ones, remember Cats was a big play back in the day. It's probably still running. Still running. I think it's ridiculous. I don't want to watch people dress up as cats and run around. I know people go for the music, but I like to go for the theme of the play too. That's my.
Maybe you can come out with an off Broadway. You can make it like the Kuwait, the musical.
There you go. That's pretty original. I can't top that one. So anyway, I don't know if you guys have watched all the RxMuscle programming this past week. Lee Priest was on with a very popular installment of Iron Rage with John Romano and I. We basically talk about, Chris, why bodybuilders don't train hard anymore. And, back in the 80s and 90s, it was all about the training. Now it seems like it's all about the drugs, all about the selfies. I think people are too distracted in the gym. I think cell phones are a great thing, but I think they created a distraction. Look, I'm addicted to my cell phone. I can't stop looking at it.
They've created a distraction in life.
Yeah, I can't stop looking at my phone. I know it. I already know. But the difference is I'm not going to the gym to be Mr. Olympia anymore. I'm going there just for health purposes, so it doesn't matter if I'm on the phone or whatever I'm doing. But, when I trained back in the 90s, there was no phones, there was no distractions. You just trained, and you talked about training with your training partner, So that's, a big distraction. And Lee Priest is hysterically funny, so you guys got to check that one out. Valentino, also great live with. If you want to, I got Greg to talk about his drug dealing days, how he got into selling steroids, because he was a natural bodybuilder and he got into selling steroids. I didn't even know this because he had his second kid with his wife and he was having trouble paying the bills, and he had opened up a gym with someone and they weren't really making a lot of money, and this guy's like, well, a friend has said, you should just sell steroids. Everyone in the industry, because he was promoting shows. And he told the story. It was a really great story. Matter of fact, he even told a funny story about Lee Haney. I guess he had brought Lee Haney into guest pose at one of his shows. And he said when he was driving around with Lee, he didn't know this, but Lee would fall asleep, but his eyes would be open, like a little bit, when he would fall asleep.
So that means
Greg thought he dropped dead. Well, Greg thought he dropped dead in the car. He thought he was dead because I thought I killed Lee Haney.
That's funny.
It's pretty funny, yeah. But Greg knows Lee when he was a regular guy, and he said he was always a cool guy, but it's different because Lee's like the fatherly figure now, you know what I mean? But back then he was just another guy, trying to be the best bodybuilder in the world,
Sure.
So it was a pretty good perspective. You guys might want to check that out. And what else did I want to bring up? Well, this week we have an installment of Iron Debate coming up. And I'm not going to tell you who's going to be on it. You guys got to check it out. It's going to be a good one. Some good topics we'll be talking about. Chris will be back. And, people have been asking about my secrets to becoming a diet guru course. The next one is, I should have brought it up on the last show, is February 24th. That's Saturday, February 24th here in Cape Coral, Florida. As you know, it's a course about how to, become a diet guru coach, essentially. Also, I go over everything you need to know about diet, supplementation, performance-enhancing drugs for men, for women, off-season, pre-contest, detoxification, site injection. I talk about everything. It's a 10-hour seminar. You will get a 4-year college degree in how to be a diet coach in one day. And the class is filling up very quickly, so there's about 5 spots left. So, guys, you got to go to DavePalumbo.com and sign up. I'm telling you guys, Chris, so many people are making such a good living now in the sport from coaching, and a lot of people are doing it and they don't even know what the hell they're doing. I have a lot of guys, and I don't need to mention names, who take this course who are actually well-established coaches, and they say, you know what, I want to just, Dave, if I learn 1 or 2 things from you, it's worth the price of admission, because I want to be the best coach I can be, because I enjoy doing this, I love it, and I'm making a good living from it. And really, with all the guys out there that are competing now, there's a lot of coaches that are needed, and that Chris Aceto and Dave Palumbo can't coach everyone, nor do we want to. So, guys, this is something that, it could be an investment in your future. It's 1 day out of your life. You fly into beautiful Cape Coral, Florida in the middle of February, which for every other part of the country, except maybe California, it's freezing cold. And you spend a weekend here. You do the course for a day, hang out at the beach the rest of the time, and you know what? You go home with a lot more knowledge. Once again, the winter courses are very popular because of the fact that the weather's so nice down here. So, guys, sign up. Don't forget that. And, of course, also I want to just mention the Dave Palumbo Experience app. You can download that on your iPhone or Android at the Android store or the iPhone store. And that's the Dave Palumbo Experience really is. It's a compendium of all the articles and videos I've ever done. There's workouts on there. There's diet routines on there. All my information's on there. It's like a resource for Dave Palumbo. Plus, I do an exclusive question answer every once a week on there that no one else has access to except the app members, as well as I answer all questions. So anyone who's an app member submits a question, I will, even if I don't put it in the video, I will definitely answer it. And the great thing is it's available for everyone else too. So, if Joe Blow asks a question, everyone gets to see the answer I give to him. Assuming he's anonymous, but at least the question and answer will be up there so that everyone gets to educate themselves on a regular basis. Great resource. That's my plug, my shameless plug for the week. I want to bring up something about glucagon, Chris. Do you know what glucagon is?
Glucagon is has the opposite effect of insulin.
Correct.
When blood sugar levels crash, glucagon saves your ass by allowing your body to liberate glucose from amino acids, or it allows the liver to pump out glucose.
Right, from stored glycogen. Correct. See, for those of you guys out there who think Chris Aceto doesn't know anything about science, fuck you all.
Yeah. Well, because I know people who actually wanted to hire me as a guru, but previously had said funny because they are gurus. They are gurus themselves.
Oh, well, I don't know.
When it comes to science, Chris is clueless. and I thought, what the person who told me that, I said, the last time I checked, I didn't really know you had to be a scientist to be a bodybuilder. Arnold wasn't a scientist. Lee Haney wasn't a scientist, and Greg Valentino almost killed him, for God's sake.
Well, yeah, I think that you're using the wrong term. You are a scientist because you do things scientifically. You meant you don't need to be a doctor, okay, to be a guru. You don't need to have an education, in biochemistry to be a guru, and that's true. That's why when people come and take my course, Chris, I don't teach them sophisticated stuff. I teach them what they need to know to be a good coach. And there's some basic science, and you know that basic science. I know the basic science. I might know more minutia because I took it to a higher degree, and I like to be very scientific about it. But that's one of the questions we're going to argue about on Iron Debate. Is it important to be a technician in the sense of knowing the science of everything as well as, or is it better to just keep things simple? And that's going to be a topic we're going to discuss. But let's get back to the glucagon thing. Glucagon is a hormone that's released from the pancreas. It's released from the alpha cells of the pancreas, believe it or not. And it does the opposite of insulin. Insulin takes sugar in the blood and puts it into the cells. And glucagon, when the sugar is low, it takes the glucose out of the cells, the stored glycogen from the liver and the muscles, and it liberates it into the bloodstream to raise blood sugar. The problem with too much glucagon production is if you raise blood sugar, you have to release insulin, right, to lower it again. So your body only releases glucagon usually under normal physiological conditions when blood sugar is really, really low. However, there's a couple of studies that I've been reading because a lot of people ask me, does clenbuterol, the fat-burning drug, the beta agonist fat-burning drug clenbuterol, does it cause high blood sugars? Because some people have noticed that when they're taking their blood sugars, their fasting blood sugars in the morning, while on clenbuterol, they're noticing higher numbers. And
this is a fascinating question.
Yeah, it is. It is very interesting because I never really knew this.
I've thought of the important stuff over time. Now, I know the answer to this.
Okay, I'm going to get your impression after I give you all the data I've collected. Now,
I don't need it. But
when I was dating a Colette Nelson, who was a type 1 diabetic who produces no insulin. Remember, she has to take her own insulin. She was taking some clenbuterol for a show for fat burning purposes, and I think the clenbuterol she had gotten was overdosed, and it was like 10 times what it should have been. So one pill was like 10 pills. Yeah. And her blood sugars were going through the roof, and she could not we couldn't figure out what the hell was causing it. I'm like, I thought she was cheating. I figured she had a bag of cookies. I'd go to sleep, she'd eat the bag of cookies. She's like, no, I'm not cheating. I don't understand why my blood sugar is so high. And she's taken tons of insulin to try to bring it down. And to make a long story short, as Jimmy Pilecki would say, it turns out that clenbuterol, I don't know if all beta agonists do this, but specifically clenbuterol, which is a beta agonist, or specifically a beta 2 agonist, has a stimulatory effect on glucagon. So they're
does.
finding that clenbuterol stimulates glucagon production from the pancreas, regardless of what your blood sugar is. And when glucagon is cranked out, your body has to release glucose into the bloodstream. And your pancreas can only produce so much insulin to lower that. So if you're constantly on clenbuterol in high amounts, and I think it has to do with high dosing, especially in one dose. I always tell people spread it out. It seems like when you spread it out, you don't get as much of this effect. But you can combine that with growth hormone, which can cause elevated blood glucose, and you have a situation where your blood glucose is out of control. So remember, in a type 1 diabetic, they don't produce insulin, but they do produce glucagon. So her body was cranking glucagon out, which was raising blood sugar through the roof, and her body couldn't lower the blood sugar because she has no insulin production in her body. Well, she can correct that, obviously, but for a person who, has nothing wrong with their pancreas and their insulin production, what was happening is if you're on clenbuterol, it could overwhelm your pancreas's ability to produce insulin. So it's ironic because clenbuterol is a fat-burning agent. Does it burn fat because it depletes glycogen from the muscles? And then, obviously the prelude to that is, do you have enough insulin to combat that? Or if it does work that way, Chris, is it bad when you're carbing up to take clenbuterol because it's as you're trying to jam glucose into the muscle and glycogen load, you're actually doing the opposite because your body's releasing so much glucagon.
And/or questions. I feel like I'm taking an SAT test.
So what's your take on this whole thing? I'm trying to analyze the whole thing.
Okay, my take on it is that there's a sweet spot with clenbuterol, and too much does not work better than that sweet spot. And for sure, about you can raise blood sugar levels through gluconeogenesis.
Right, but that would be through cortisol. Cortisol really is the one that
right.
raises
Cortisol.
it. Yeah.
Cortisol. Okay, you're right. Through cortisol, but you're raising on a low carb diet. You're raising glucose levels through the creation of new glucose through the liver and through amino acids through cortisol levels. But any stimulant stimulates the fight or flight response, which raises glucagon levels, and in turn...
Does it raise glucagon? I thought it really raises cortisol levels.
No, well, where you find cortisol
being produced in the adrenal glands, glucagon in the pancreas.
I thought, you can correct me because you're the scientist in this family. I thought that low carb diets with stimulants added to them both cause a rise in cortisol levels,
and sugar.
Cortisol levels in turn stimulate, by definition,
gluconeogenesis. No, you're right.
No, or they gluconeogenesis, or they stimulate the fight or flight response.
Right, which is the adrenal glands. When the adrenal glands are stimulated, right, that's when you get cortisol release. That's where they come from. So, and you're right. And then what happens is amino acids get turned into glucose, and you raise blood glucose levels. Right. So you don't want to do excessive stimulants. 100%. But this is a separate effect. Clenbuterol is not technically a stimulant. It's a beta-2 agonist, which they're finding. And I didn't know this. This is new. At least to me, I don't think many people.
I know, but it falls into the
clenbuterol stimulates this other hormone, glucagon, which is also raising blood sugar. Now, the problem with the way glucagon works, because remember, cortisol turns amino acids into glucose, makes new glucose, gluconeogenesis, the production of new glucose. Glucagon takes existing stored glucose, stored glycogen, and liberates it. Now, think about it. When you're carbing up that last week, I have to rethink about how I'm going to carb guys up now, because when I'm carbing guys up, I might have them on 5 clenbuterol a day, 100 micrograms a day, and if clenbuterol is stimulating glucagon production, which is getting the glycogen out of the muscle, and you're trying to put glycogen into the muscle, right, while you're carbing a person up, clenbuterol seems like the worst thing to actually take.
Well, that would be like Chris Aceto science would equate that with my 4-year-old pulling the plug on the tub the other night while I'm trying to fill it, and I realized what the hell is he had pulled the plug on me, and so you're trying to fill the tub while water's going out of the tub. It's like you're taking, you're trying to add carbs in to fill out, and you're you're draining them out,
Exactly.
or interfering with packing them away with clenbuterol.
But you know what? In some distorted way, I almost think that by doing that, by eating carbs while your body is trying to release carbs, you actually create a metabolic boosting effect. Because your body's trying to do two separate things at the same time. So I think you ever notice the guys when you start carving them up at the end, you could be starving them before that, and like they won't lose a pound, and all of a sudden you start carving them up, and
Nothing happens.
No, and their metabolism speeds up. They start losing body fat all of a sudden.
Yeah.
It could be that effect too. You're creating a much greater metabolic demand because your body's trying to liberate glucose while it's trying to store glycogen at the same time. So it's like. It's a crazy thing. So you have to really evaluate. I think the answer to that, because a lot of people I know I'm going to get a million emails and texts after this, all from my clients saying, what are we going to do? I think the answer to it is to cut back clenbuterol. You can't get rid of clenbuterol. If you take clenbuterol out the last week, you're going to rebound off of it.
I'm too scared to cut my clenbuterol.
Yeah.
I'm afraid I'm going to get fat. That's what they're going to say.
Right. Well, no, I think you could rebound off clenbuterol when you stop at cold turkey like that. I think the key would be to cut it back a little bit. Maybe instead of, if you're doing 5 a day, 100 micrograms a day, cut it back to 40 micrograms a day just for the last 3 days while you're carbing up. And I think that might help you glycogen, at least for people who have trouble carb loading. For people who look good on clenbuterol, when they're carb loading, then don't do anything. But if you do test, because I've been getting everyone to buy blood sugar testing kits, that's my new thing. Yeah. If you testing your blood sugar and you're noticing that you're running high blood sugars in the morning, fasting blood sugars, then it could be from the clenbuterol. I'm not saying you should stop it because if you're only using clenbuterol short term, it might not be a big deal. But certainly don't take more than 20 micrograms per dose. In other words, if you're on 100 a day, don't take 100 in one dose or 50 and 50. Try to do 20, 20, 20, 20, 5 times. And spread it out, and so that's the official drug tip of the week. People love when we talk about drugs. We hardly ever do, but I thought this was an interesting enough topic that I wanted to discuss it on the show because you and I can go back and forth as opposed to just doing a video on it. But it is an interesting topic, and I think it needs to be explored more. The fact that clenbuterol has this glucagon stimulating effect in the body, I think it's pretty fascinating. I never knew it happened. I've seen some people do have problems carbing up on clen. I didn't realize it, and a lot of my clients, since they've been testing blood sugars, have been telling me that their blood sugars run high on clenbuterol, and they notice when they stop the clenbuterol, their blood sugar goes back to normal. So there definitely is a glucagon effect, which is different, like you said, and I'm glad you pointed that out, much different than a cortisol effect. Because cortisol creates new glucose, glucagon liberates glucose that's stored as glycogen in the liver and the muscles. So I'm glad we made that distinction, and hopefully people learn something about that, and hope I got you thinking. And these are things we talk about in the Secrets of Becoming a Diet Guru course. So if you guys enjoy hearing us talk about something like that might be something a course you might look into taking, because you'll be able to ask me a lot of questions like that, and we can work through some of these conundrums that exist in the bodybuilding supplement world. Anyway, Chris, it's very late. It's after 1 a.m. I guess technically we are doing the show now on the 15th. It's Monday the 15th.
Yeah, it's Martin Luther King's
it is Martin Luther King Day. That's right.
So that's...
I didn't give my employees off, though. I have a chiropractic appointment in the morning very early, so I'm going to take off and skedaddle. And guys, make sure you check out Iron Debate this Tuesday. Well, I don't know. I'll probably go up Tuesday night. We'll tape it during the day. And I got a couple other surprise interviews. A lot of these sites, Chris, don't know what to talk about. I get so many guests lined up. I don't even know when to put them all in. That's how many people have been contacting us recently. So, guys, hopefully you're enjoying all the programming. As always, I want to just make the announcement. I don't know if you're aware, Chris. We're over 100,000 on YouTube subscriptions.
Oh, congratulations!
Yeah.
I did. You tagged me somewhere.
Yeah, we were going up, as Louis Marco was telling me, you're losing subscribers. We were going up like 250 subscribers a day. And the last 2 or 3 weeks, we probably gained about almost 10,000 subscribers or 8,000 subscribers, something like that. So we went over the 100,000. We're actually over 100,000 and almost 200 now. So I guess we're finally picking up the momentum that I knew that we would eventually. And once again, I want to thank all you guys, the fans. I know I've been asking you to, if you do watch the programming, to subscribe, because it lets us know that you like what we're doing. It inspires us to do more. And I take my heart and my hat off to you, and I can't wait when I get that little stupid thing that they send you in the mail, that little wall plaque from YouTube. I'll do a big video on it, and then I'll put it up on eBay, and maybe Aaron Singerman will buy it from me. Just kidding, Aaron. Maybe Bader Badai will buy it from me. Oh my God! All right, Chris, that's it. We're out of time. Remember, till next week with Heavy Muscle Radio.
The truth hurts.
Good night, everyone.